What type of dog is Cooper? To the February Franklin County Community School Corporation Board of Trustees meeting. Our first order of business will be to recite the Pledge of Allegiance and observe a moment of silence. If you would please stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Next up on the agenda is the consent agenda items. Do we have any discussion? Okay, we have a motion. Katie and Kevin, all in favor, raise your hand. 7-0. 6.
Not here yet.
I had an imaginary hand go up, I'm sorry.
Gotcha.
Next is the financial reports. Kendra?
The education fund balance as of January 31st, 2024 was $5,200,677.72. A year ago, this balance was $4,404,864.56. The operations fund balance as of January 31st, 2024 was $999,072.37. A year ago, this balance was $261,880.45. The rainy day fund balance as of January 31st, 2024 was $68,712.84. The investment interest earned year to date as of January 31st was $53,519.81. This is compared to $25,830.05 a year ago.
Any questions? What was the amount that we had invested last year at this time? Was it less?
It was a lot less. It was just our 1 million CD
Okay.
with Mass State Bank.
But we're up about 30,000 off the investment income, correct?
Correct.
Okay. If there's no other discussion, we have cafeteria report.
The cafeteria, the cafeteria fund balance as of January 31st was $565,603.53. This is compared to $575,519.79 a year ago. And the latchkey fund balance as of January 31st was $14,443.59. This is compared to $6,902.91 a year ago.
This is a discussion only item. Is there any? No questions? Then we'll move on to celebrations. Tammy?
Thank you. Now, if you need me to hold the dog, I'll understand.
We have co-winners tonight for the Educator of the Month. I'd like to introduce Cooper, who is a therapy dog at Brookville Elementary, and I've never heard him cry before.
It's a new situation.
A new situation, okay. It's my honor to recognize Mrs. Lambert as the Educator of the Month, and Cooper, who's the therapy dog. Mrs. Lambert has been with Franklin County the last 7 years, and she attended IU East, where she received her bachelor and master's degree in social work. Mrs. Lambert was nominated for this honor by a parent. When asked why Erin should be considered, Mrs. Lambert and her sidekick, Cooper, have been a huge help in making my son feel comfortable. My son tells me all the time how all the students at BES love Mrs. Lambert and Cooper. Our schools could not function without the amazing support of our staff. They support families, students, teachers, and administrators in so many ways, and Mrs. Lambert and Cooper play a big role at BES, and and Cooper deserves to be celebrated. In her free time, I know you love to vacation because I see it all the time on Facebook, read, and I've seen your crafts, and spend time with her lovely family. We asked Mrs. Lambert what's the best part about her job, and the best part is building relationships with students and their families, and she enjoys working with students to overcome obstacles in order for them to be successful, and she reminds students every day is a new day. She also loves being able to bring Cooper to the school, and I have watched him bring smiles, laugh, and comfort to so many students and staff, and myself included in that. So congratulations, and I'd like to present you. And I was going to bring treats, but I already know I can't because Cooper has a very sensitive belly. So. Introduce your guests.
My husband, Aaron, my daughter, Bailey, and Logan. So we'll leave a picture of them. Oh, yeah, otherwise he's not going to be in the picture. I love that.
Does Cooper stick to her? Or is he a big family dog?
Cooper's not ready for his picture. Thank you.
You realize I want a puppy now, right? I'm going to get in trouble when I go home.
Jamie would like to come up, and he would like to, but we Yeah, it's my pleasure to introduce the February support staff of the month, Mr. Shane McPherson. He's been the head custodian at Laurel Elementary and has been in the position for 20 years. Shane was nominated for the honor by 2 staff members. When asked why he should be considered for the recognition, they said Shane is always willing to help in any situation, whether that be cleaning up a mess or watching a class while a teacher takes their own restroom break. He jumps in without being asked. He is always smiling, making jokes, which makes any kind of work day better. I specifically made this nomination because what I came into over the summer, I decided to make a weeknight trip over the summer, so she texted Shane before going over to make sure that she was allowed in the hallway. He quickly texted back that I was welcome to come in because my classroom was done. I was shocked when I walked into my classroom. Not only had he cleaned my room over the summer, but he arranged my room as if nothing had ever been moved. My desks were back in rows, my rolling carts were back in their spots, my rugs were exactly where I had them before. Shane pays so much close attention to the little details, even with every classroom and teacher in our building being different. He builds positive relationships with the staff and keeps our rooms looking wonderful. Shane is greatly appreciated at LES. Outside of work, Shane enjoys being outdoors and spending time with his family and grandchildren. And then when asked what the best part of his job was, Shane said, I really enjoy the people I work with. At Laurel, we are a family. I also love working with the students. The connection I have with students is important to me. I enjoy watching the students grow out through the year. And I've been out there several times in the cafeteria. Shane's always out there helping Anytime that Miss New needs someone to help out, he's out there at bus duty, car duty, and he's always out and about. Really almost your assistant.
He really runs the show. Let's be real.
Shane, somebody has to run that building, right?
Last year, I showed up a couple of times before him, and I don't think I beat you this year.
No.
He's made it his personal goal. I couldn't do my job without Shane, and I think we all feel the same way. He really probably would rather not be here today, but he makes our job easier. He's always positive. It's always Mrs. New, Mrs. Ball. He never calls us by our first name. He cares about the kids. He's the only male in the building. So
There's that, right?
I know why you stay.
The connection he makes with our boys is pretty, it can't be replaced. No one else could come in and do what Shane does.
Congratulations.
I appreciate your opinion. I appreciate your opinion too, because when I call on you and you'll let me know how it is. I do appreciate that. Would you like to introduce your guest?
Yes. It's my boy Garrett, my daughter Kylie, Kylie's boyfriend Ryan.
Congratulations.
Yeah, it's
It was a hard night.
been
I
hard.
feel for you.
Are you gonna wear the hat?
Of course it is. You can wear that.
I can't hear you.
Shadow.
Sure.
That's the only reason.
Yeah.
Shadow.
Okay.
I'm no rookie. I'm kind of a rookie, but that's,
Take one with and one out. Now take, let's take one out.
I'm only a valuable player my rookie year.
I've never seen you put it back.
I've never seen anybody have.
He's over at the
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye, he's out.
I'd like to say something.
Okay.
I'd like to
Well,
say
at
something about
this
our
point,
support.
anyone who would like to
Excuse me,
exit the meeting.
Francis, hold on a second. I'd like to say something about our support staff, and I've said it before, that, you know, we talk about the teachers, we talk about the aides and stuff, but the corporation would not move if it wasn't for the support staff, the janitors, the cooks, doing everything they do behind the scenes. The corporation wouldn't be where it's at without them. And we owe them a great deal of gratitude.
Any other comments?
Nope, that's all I got.
Okay, at this moment, we will invite you, if you do not want to stay for the rest of the meeting, you may exit the building.
Bye, Cooper.
Leave the dog, though.
Leave the dog. I'll drop him off on my way home.
You're not getting the dog, it's mine.
Bye, babe.
Thank you very much for bringing Cooper in, too. Okay, next up is statements from the public. We have none. Statements from employees. We have none. The superintendent's report, please.
I just have a few reminders. Our board meeting that would have fallen on April 8th, which is the eclipse day. We have moved that board meeting to April 15th, the following Monday. So if you're making note of that, please do so. A lot of events are planned for the eclipse, so I think it's important that we take part in those activities, and I'm going to guess there's going to be a lot of people in town, so we might not even be able to get to the board meeting. So the enrollment count, just an update. So if you recall in October when we did our ADM count, we were at 1954. The second count was February 1, and we were at 1923. That is 31 students different, but I'd like to point out that 22 were midterm graduates, so in reality, we were down 9 students from the fall to this February count, which is probably one of the lowest differences we've had in quite some time. So, and I believe the 22 midterm graduates, that's probably the highest we've had in a while. It's usually 15 to 18 So we did have 22 that will graduate with the class of 2024, but actually graduated early. Kindergarten pre-registration. So this is kindergarten and preschool at Laurel only. We have scheduled those dates for April 13th from 12 to 7 and April 14th from 8 to 3. There is no need for any parents to make an appointment. You may call and do so if you'd like, and bring the birth certificate, shot records, and proof of residency, and the staff and the teachers will get you pre-registered for fall of 2024. So if you have any questions, I would recommend that you call the building of where you will attend in the fall, and they can help you out. Update on the master plan. So Fanning and Howie brought about, so Brian was here, I think about 3 engineers on site, and then we had 1 on the outside. They toured Laurel, Mount Carmel, the elementary, and the middle school. They spent the entire day here looking at our infrastructure and our outside as well. So they will meet as a team this week, and they'll pull their thoughts together. They'll do a brief and go over their notes. I would anticipate Brian reaching out to us sometime next week and talking with our team internally before whatever that next step is. I know that he wants to interview building principals and some staff before we roll out a full report to the board. So it is moving along quite nicely. I wouldn't expect anything until probably April-ish, full report. So, but I will keep you updated. So
This was information only. Does anyone have any questions? Okay, we'll move on. Next up is old business. We have none. Now we're to new business.
yes, the first item is high ability placement criteria at the middle school. Mr. Bundy.
As you may remember, in the January meeting, I did not have the high ability part of the academic handbook ready to go. We were doing some research to look at possible changes and what would be the best path to take. And we view our school as the pipeline to the high school honors program. And what we were seeing is fewer kids going into that program because the scores that we were having weren't allowing them to do so. There's also an issue with the appeals process. I felt like that there were some parents that weren't taking advantage of the appeals process when the kids really could have been able to be successful in those programs. So rather than having a situation where we're asking them to jump through hoops, I thought it would be better to just redo our criteria, research based on information from the COGAT scores, the NWEA scores, along with GPA that students earned over this time. So what we came up with is for Honors Language Arts 7, looking at a 221 for the reading NWEA score, and that's the equivalent of a 75th percentile in the fall. So, but if they score the 221 at any point during that year, then they would earn the ability to be in that honors program. The other avenue is through the COGAT score, which is a high ability test. Previously, we were looking at a score of 9 as the COGAT score that would get you in. That's 95th percentile. That is what is truly considered high ability. So we are moving that to 8 and above for the for earning entrance into that program. The honors class, honors language class, is not necessarily just a 95th percentile and above class. That's the class that we're wanting our students who are planning on going to college, going on to secondary programs of some type. And that's not just our 95th percentile and above. So we're asking for this change so we can get more students in that pipeline being ready for the honors program at the high school. Now, there are students that have struggles academically for a lot of reasons. We did put an additional criteria in where the student would have to have a GPA in sixth grade. It would be the reading GPA of 3.0 for the entire school year. And then moving from 7th to 8th grade, the 8th grade, we're looking at a 225 for the 75th percentile for 7th graders, that they would have to get that 225 at some point during their 7th grade year to qualify. They could also go back to that COGAT score that we previously used and have an 8 or a 9 to get in. And again, this would have the 3.0 GPA as well. So that's the only change we're asking for in the academic handbook.
Mr. Bundy, what do you do with the kids that come in from another school or transfer? I mean, I know their records come with them, but can you pretty much place them with what they've gotten, or?
How we have done it in the past, if they have NWEA at their other school, we use that information, and a lot of schools use NWEA. We also look at their schedule, and we have to rely a little bit on their previous school. If they were going to be placed in that honors language class at their previous school, we'll honor that decision and put them in our building. We also look at what happens when they get to our building. If we have a student that wasn't from an NWEA school who then scores the first NWEA test that's in August, then scores at that high level, we'll talk to the parents and see if they are interested in that student going into the honors program. So we kind of look at it and adjust as we go through. We've had situations where new kid coming in, their first test, they weren't real comfortable in the building yet, new people to get to know, so their score wasn't as well, they didn't score as well as they could have. And then it comes time at second semester where they have proven themselves throughout the year, and we do consider things. We may have them take a separate NWEA test that's not in that normal window and see what their scores are. So those new kids, we kind of have a flexible pathway in just because we don't know them.
So we give the NWEA 3 times?
Three
correct?
times a year, but we can give it additional
Okay.
times outside of those 3 windows.
I just hate to see somebody that comes in September, misses that test, and then can't get
Right.
in till spring.
Right.
But
But if they were in their previous school program, then we would honor that and move them in.
thank you.
Mr. Bundy, I have a question. You had mentioned, I think you had said, like, we want more kids in the honors language that, not just the 95%, but more. Do you have a number or maybe something you're aiming for of what maybe percentage of that grade, 7th or 8th grade, are in, or do you want to see in?
I'm not
The
looking
honors.
at percentage of our student body. What I want is to increase the number of students that that we are preparing to be successful at secondary programs that are feeding into college and other programs after high school. So by having such a small number, I feel like we are missing students that could be better prepared as they go out to secondary school or schools after high school.
Okay.
So this way, whoever qualifies, then we will look at that. I just running numbers with data, I looked at what if we had this program in place at this year, last year, and we're looking at about 35 kids instead of 15, 35 to 40. So we're looking at 2 sections rather than 1. And really, I think when you go look at the high school, the honors program is much more closely represented with 2 sections than 1.
Okay, so not looking to, I don't want to misrepresent, but not expand necessarily the program, just capture more to mimic the high school?
Well, the point is to better prepare our students that are going on beyond high school. And to do that, I think we have to be moving more students into those honors programs. They're already taking additional students at the high school, but they didn't go through that honors program at the middle school. So could they be better prepared for that honors high school program? Yes, and that's what this step is about, is better preparing them for those high school honors classes.
Okay, thank you.
Any other discussion? I need a motion, please. Beth and Rick, all in favor, raise your hand. 7-0.
Thank you, Chris.
Thanks.
Next up is the summer school.
Summer school, I'm recommending following courses be offered for 2024 summer school. Physical education, credit recovery courses, which covers a lot of courses that students need, all high school credit, and supervised agricultural experience. Those 3.
Is there any discussion?
Those are
These are-
traditionally the ones we've always offered.
Yeah, I know physical education is real popular
Yes.
for that. Then the credit recovery puts them back on a graduation track. What does the supervised agricultural experience involve? Do you know?
That's where kids work on ag projects on their own. And they'll start at the beginning what they're going to do. And then the instructors will go out, check on them and such, and then they present at the end.
Yeah, is this
All
in
through the
association with FFA?
Yes, part FFA, part 4-H, and also the ag courses for credit.
Any other discussion? I need a motion, please. Rick and Katie. All in favor, raise your hand. 7-0. Now comes the recommendation for the 2024 mowing.
Yes, we opened bids last week for mowing for the 2024 mowing season. I am recommending White Oak Lawn Care. They did it the previous 2 years. They came in at the lowest at $375 per cut for Laurel, $325 per cut at Mount Carmel, and $700 for the Brookville campus. That will run from March 1st to October 31st. We sent out to 16 vendors and we had 5 submit bids.
Is there any discussion? Can I get a motion, please? Jessica and Beth. All in favor, raise your hand. 7-0. Next up is the recommendations for the 2024 lawn care and landscape maintenance.
Yes, again, I'm recommending Get Green Lawn Care for the 24 lawn care and landscaping and spraying maintenance in the amount of $22,500. Services begin again March 1st through November 30th. We sent out to 6 vendors and we had 1 submit. They are just a little bit higher than last year, but they've been with us since I've been here.
Any discussion?
Is the ag or horticulture class going to continue the project that they started last year? Or,
They're going to come
or
back
add
and
to
work
it
on
in
that.
any way,
They're going to
or-
come back and work on that because they ran out of time and kind of finished up not as kind of haphazardly, and they want to come back and fix that. Yes.
I didn't know if they were going to add to it or anything.
They are adding to it. If you've noticed, we have added planters for ballards around the middle school and some of the high school. That is actually a safety feature, and they're going to landscape those and add rock, dirt, and plantings in those. So yes, they're added to it.
Did you contact any of the other vendors that did not send a bid and find out why, maybe?
No, I did not.
Okay. We need a motion if there's no further discussion. Kevin and Brandy, or no, Rick, sorry. All in favor? We have a 7-0. Now it's permission to advertise and accept bids for roofing projects.
Yes, I will be sharing a calendar with you to see how time crunch we are in on roofing. I'm always worried, especially wanting to do a summer project, to be able to get roofers in here. So this is our proposed schedule. This is why we need approved. Move on as possible. But I'm asking for permission to advertise for bids for the roofing project at Franklin County High School and Franklin County Middle School for this summer.
Are there any questions?
They will be done before school starts.
They got 2 buildings to do, so the plan is yes. But
Any other discussion? Board motion, please.
Make a motion that we accept it.
Rick and, was that Katie or Beth?
Katie.
Katie. All in favor? Of 7-0. Next on the agenda would be recommending to accept a paving bid.
yes, if you remember, we sent out for bids for shot put disc area, paving behind the bleachers, and also batting cages and pitching mounds for warm-up, bullpens for the baseball. Those came back extremely high, about 5 times higher than we thought they were going to be. One was almost $750,000.
To do what again?
Bullpens, batting cage, paving, shot put area, and discus area. Yeah. So I'm going out, before we get to the bid here, I'm going out local and going to do that on our own locally, which I think our guys can.
Were they doing it with gold?
Yeah, like I said, one was 350,000, the other one's 750,000. So I think we can get it done for the little money that we have left. The paving bid is for $62,000 for the area behind the football stadium, which after doing enough paving now in this job, that's probably right spot on what we have been paying for things. And then we have an alternate, which is adding paving area around the ticket booth and then up, if you know where they set up the tents to sell things, and pave that area as well, just to clean that up at $14,000. We previously approved you approved the asphalt paving in the capital project plan, and this is under that amount. So I'm asking to approve those bids for $76,375.
Any discussion? Is there a board motion, please? Beth? Is there a second? Kevin or Jessica? All in favor? 7-0. Okay, next up is our TIF update with Sarah Duffy, our representative.
Is it the same? Okay. Just pass it down. And lots of copies.
Well, I want to start out with good news from the Franklin County Redevelopment Commission. They're open to a request for grant funding. They provided a grant before to the school corporation, and it could be up to $8,400. That would be, remember, the up to 15% of the money collected in 2023. And in a discussion, the commission members suggested a project that directly connects benefits the students. And another suggestion that was talked about was paying someone to manage the Facebook and the multiple Facebook pages and social media that the school has. And this grant would be coming from the current industrial TIF district. But most of tonight I want to talk about a new TIF district. We talked about this once before, the Reservoir Road Residential TIF proposal. Now this is still in the talking stages, but it's going to be moving very quickly this month. So what is TIF? For a brief recap here, the property tax from all new development in a TIF district is collected, and then it is spent exclusively on more economic development. So the TIF money could pay for sewers, utilities, sidewalks, paving, and in a recent change in Indiana code, it could even buy fire engines or pay for deputy sheriffs. So the property taxes from the area that used to be, that would have gone to the schools, is no longer going to the schools. In the future would no longer go to the schools. It would go to economic development. And the school would basically be capped or frozen for 20 years or more at the same amount they're collecting now from that residential area. So when this new TIF could be completed by July of this year, if everything falls into place, we have a timeline where there's 5,300 acres that have been identified. That's going from Brookville north to Fairfield Causeway. And then on the west, it's from State Route 1 to Brookville Lake, and on the west, and then Brookville Lake and State Route 1 on the east. And I showed you this once before, but we slept since then. So I'll show you once again what the orange shows, like what 5,700 acres is in our county, right along the side of Brookville Lake. I don't know if people are watching. That's 5,700 acres of part of orange. Okay. So that's the where. Why? Why are we creating this TIF? Well, that was one of the requirements when Franklin County got the $4.5 million grant from the state to put the sewer lines in up on Reservoir Road. They said you got to have a TIF district because we foresee in the future there may be more expenses operating the sewer line, or maybe we'll need more sewer lines. So that was part of the deal. Now on public input, there will be 2 public hearings, and one of the items is there is early consultation that's required with the school superintendent and the board president. Now, it could probably be the whole school board, but that's what's in the Indiana code. Now, the schools really have no veto power. You can't say, no, we don't like the idea of a residential TIF. This is in the Indiana code. The Redevelopment Commission can move forward with that. You can offer your ideas, your suggestions, but you can't just say, I don't like this project. Beth is nodding her head from being on redevelopment for all those years, and Rick, yeah, we've been through this. So I just gave you some pros and cons. Progress is always good. Affordable housing may bring in more students. That would increase our state funding to pay teachers. Now, some of the cons, some of the ideas that maybe this isn't so good from the point of view of schools, is there's a big if. And it's a really big if. And I made a really big if for you all.
Sarah doesn't have enough.
I made a really big if you're watching somewhere else. Okay. This really big if is if we have new homeowners in the TIF, the residential TIF, will they have school-age children? Because that's how we get our state funding. You know, we lost students between October and February. We lost 9. That's how we get our state funding, is based upon that count of school-age children. Now, there's another if that's even iffier. The other iffy thing is, if there's school-age children in the new residential TIF, will they be in Franklin County community schools? Will they be in private schools? Will they be in another school district? All those things are options that parents have today. So to summarize a little bit, the school will have no increase from the new property tax money in the Reservoir Road residential TIF district. The things, the property tax money that is paying for those roofs that we're putting on, the property tax money paying for the roofs, paying for the upkeep, buses, other equipment. That money is the property tax, which will be frozen for 20 years or longer. Now, to give you just an example of thinking, well, how does this really apply? Say you live in this area that's going to be in the orange, in the Reservoir Road residential TIF area. You have a house there now, and you decide you're going to add a bathroom, or you're going to add a garage or a pool. Well, or a new home is constructed next door to you. That new construction, that new addition, the taxes on the new things, the new items, that money is going to be gathered up and collected, overseen by the Redevelopment Commission, and spent on future economic development. So it's not coming into the schools. It's not coming into the county either. And I think eventually some of our county officials will realize that if the TIF gets too expansive, it may cause them some problems, because this new residential TIF district, the people there, they want services. There's going to be more people there. They're going to want services, but the money, the property tax money, is not going to be coming from that area to pay for more services. So the county will have to deal with their part. We just deal with the school part. So my recommendation to you as your representative on the Redevelopment Commission is to support the new housing. The progress is good. And to request the 15% of the TIF collections be allocated to Franklin County Community Schools. And this would be a new thing. We have that up to 15% on the industrial TIF. This is a whole new TIF, residential. And I'm recommending that we start from day one, when we do our first declaratory resolution and later a confirmatory resolution, that we start with day one and get that 15% language in there. So as superintendent and school board president in any meetings you have, I hope you will, put that idea forward, and I will too as your representative, or if anybody from TIF talks to you about, how do you want to see this TIF go forward?
Sarah, I have a question for you, and this is just a scenario. I live on Reservoir Road. I'm off the road. I'm not saying this for me, but this is just a question up there. If people they want to opt out of the TIF, can they do that? Is that legal? What happens then?
That's a very good question, and I will have to get back to you with the answer, because all the discussions so far in our group and with our consultant is how to set up a TIF and gather people in, and how to, if someone's on the other side of the road, how to gather them in, even though you're sort of drawing the boundary here at a certain road, how to draw them in or let them come in. But nobody has really talked about, somebody in the area, could they opt out? I don't want to be in the residential TIF. It's not going to affect your property taxes today, being in a TIF. It's not going to make your taxes go up or your taxes go down. You know that from being in redevelopment. What the difference is any future taxes would not be going to the schools and the county. It would be going all for economic development. I'm going to have to find out more, and I'll get back. When I get that back to you, I'll get it back to the whole school board if I could.
I think this is really of some interest up there, because when we were going through some annexation and with the golf course and all that, there were some that wanted to opt out immediately, and not really out of the TIF, but they just didn't want the sewer, they didn't want all that. So I think this is a thing that people are going to want to know up there. So I just thought you'd have the answer, Sarah.
Previously, with the money that was designated for the schools, we had to define a specific purpose. Is that the language?
Yes. Now, on the residential, currently, that's what the Redevelopment Commission would like the school to propose, something for the 2023 money. And going forward, when we have the residential TIF, when that's created, which I see happening, we can get the 15% in there from day one. And it's pretty broad what the school could have funded. It's very broad, what kind of thing you could ask for.
We got the microscopes last time, correct?
Yes.
Sarah, could I ask, and this is just in general to reiterate probably, but 15, why 15%? Is that the max?
Indiana code says it can be 15%.
But it can be less,
Well,
To 15%.
up to 15?
the Indiana code said it can be a maximum of 15%, and our county commissioners, they are the final say-so on how everything happens and operates with TIF. They're the final deciders locally. And they decided that the language in the county resolutions would say up to 15%. It would not say 15. It would say up to 15%. And before you were on the board, we went back and forth, a couple meetings and joint meetings and back and forth at what the wording would be. And that's what the county commissioners settled on, up to 15%. It could be a flat 15%, it could be a flat 10%.
But it's in our best, I think it's in our best interest to ask for the maximum if we want.
Right.
Since for 20 years, we're not going to get any of that money, and we obviously financially could use that.
Right.
So there's no reason not to, like you said, with your recommendation, start from day one, that we would want that 15%, and that would go for the full 20 years?
Yes,
Okay.
as long as they're collecting money.
Now, do they revisit that every year?
Every,
Or once it's set up for 20 years, but do they revisit that every year to decide 15 or 10% or?
the way we're currently set up for the industrial TIF, yes, every year it's revisited. But what I'm hearing from my other board members is that they're thinking the up to 15%, they're thinking along the lines of the 15%.
Rick, remember when Bill Shermer was here and he talked about the pot of money?
Yeah.
And when they
Yeah.
first started, their pot wasn't very big.
Right.
Well, the pot is starting to get bigger.
Well, if they
So-
do they do that 5,300 acres, you're looking at 4.5 million. No, that's.
No. That'd be good.
4.5 million is the sewer
That's
line.
what they already got. Yeah, that's the sewer line.
That's the
I
sewer
misread
line.
that, I'm sorry.
The value of new homes.
But still,
bad.
5,300 acres, that's, you're adding more to what you already have, and
And they'd like to have 200 houses built up there.
I know there's, on State Road 1, there's houses going up all the time.
Does it, I mean, the request for 20 years on this, does it have to be 20? It could be less, couldn't it?
A TIF, when you create a TIF district, a residential TIF district, when you create it, it exists for 20 years after you issue any bonds. If you don't issue any bonds for your residential TIF, it could go on forever. Our industrial TIF has never issued a bond. It's been around, it started in 2012. It has never issued a bond.
How much money do they have right now? Do you know? I know they pay some money out of it, but
Can I send you an email?
yeah.
Yeah, because we paid, money came out of redevelopment to pay for the gas line that went up to Reed Health. So we had more money, but some of it was spent. So.
Yeah, just send me an email.
Okay.
Any other questions?
I appreciate your interest very much. Thank you.
Thanks, Sarah.
Thank you, Sarah.
Now we move on to something I've been dreading, but we'll do here. We're going to discuss the separation agreement. I recommend that we accept the separation agreement upon signature of her retirement. Open for discussion here. Anyone have anything to say?
I think after discussion, among the board and with Tammy, this sounds to be something that I agree with you. I don't want to accept. I think that we would like to keep what we have in motion right now as the district. At least this is my opinion. I like the motion that we have going. We have a lot of great things we've seen around progress in the school district, graduation rates being very high. However, if this is in the best interest, I think overall, then I would agree that's something I would be willing to accept.
Anyone else?
I think that as a board member, we need to look at what has been presented to us, that Tammy feels that this is the best for her. And I would never want to lose her. I think that she has been a phenomenal superintendent and one that I enjoy working with tremendously. But if this is what is best for her, she feels it's best for our corporation, then I would respect that.
Any other comments?
I think we have to respect that for Tammy's sake.
Anyone else?
I know Tammy has the best intentions for the school, has always put Franklin County Community Schools Corporation at the top of everything she's done since she's been here. I would hate to see her ever leave. You know, some tell you got to retire, but having worked with her for so many years and seeing what she's done and what she's been through since the COVID, it's sad to even think about losing her. And I always want to do what's best for the individual.
Yes.
And I know she puts everything she has into the school corporation. And I would never want her to see her leave, but I agree that, and I even hate to say it, what's best for her. She's been an outstanding school superintendent.
Any other statements? Well, I guess it's down to me. Tammy has put her heart and soul into this corporation. She has established relationships with the teachers like I've never seen in the 16 years I've been on board. It's tough because I don't feel it's the best thing for her. But it is the best thing for her. Our students will pay the price, but she can be a shining star in another corporation where she doesn't get beat down every single day. It is hard. And I've been through a lot with her. I know how hard it's been. And as hard as sometimes I have it, 10 times harder for her. So I have no choice but to respect her wishes. I told her from day one I wish she would reconsider, but I would respect her, and I do. And I think she has respect of teachers, administrators, and it's a shame that the community strikes back at every chance they get. And hopefully this board will learn a lesson of working as a board, not a new board versus old board members, but one school board for everything. And we have to work together as a community in order to move this thing on. She's not running off and leaving. She's taking the high road, and I have the utmost respect for her.
I have one thing to say when you're done.
I am done.
At any time, my biggest thing in the school corporation is bullying. And I hate to see anybody bullied out of something that they're doing good. And I feel this is this is something that we should stand up for. That's part of our vision, is bullying. Don't heel to it. Hit it head on. And like I said, I wish you would reconsider. So much do I wish you would reconsider and fight this head on. I've heard that if we do, it'll drag the school corporation through the mud. No, if we have in our policies about bullying and you stand up for it and you do what's right, and you've done what's right through the whole thing, and I just hate to see that part of it that is going to, if you leave, is going to win. And that bothers me, you know. As a board member, I would do anything that we have to hit this head on. But, you know, then again, I wanted to bring that up because that's one of the main reasons that I think you're leaving. And I know some other reasons, personal reasons. But in my feelings, I think we need to hit this head on. And I think the public and the people that I've talked to support you 100% and will support you no matter what you do. And I don't like to cower down to anybody. I know we've been chastised as a board, and we sit here and take it. We don't voice our opinions. We understand people's feelings, hard times, but I feel that nobody should be bullied into something, anything. And that's why I think we need to fight back as a board. But as much as I hate to say it, I understand your position. And I don't want to. I don't want to agree to you leave, but if that's what's best for you, I understand that.
Thank you.
That's all I have to say.
And just to inform everyone, Tammy is not running away. She's giving an opportunity until we get a new superintendent in here. You know, she cares very deeply about everyone in this corporation. I can tell you that. I've had so many teachers come up and tell me they can go talk to Tammy about anything and she'll listen. I think it's important that that relationship is there, and this was the first time that we had a contract negotiation where it was done quickly and on the first night because of that relationship and trust. There are many things we're going to miss about Tammy, but it is ultimately her decision, and I can respect that. You'll have to like it, though, Tammy. So.
If we approve this here and she changes her mind, can we rescind it?
There's a period of time which she
21 days, I think.
there's a 21-day waiver period, I believe it is, that you have to rescind it. I don't know if you want to waive that or not. And if she waives it, we can get started on looking for the next superintendent. And we have, 7 days to reconsider. What I'm going to tell you is from my conversations with Tammy in depth, she very much feels that she's kind of broken here, and that for her to be whole, she needs to go someplace where she can get a fresh start and do the things that she loves without being under a microscope. You say that's an accurate synopsis there. So, we're to the point where we need a motion. We gotta have a motion or it dies, people.
I'll make the motion to accept the separation agreement.
Is there a second? Katie seconds. All in favor, raise your right hand. Is that 7-0? Or did you run away from a blind board president? Okay. I dreaded that all day long. Now it's done. Legislative update, please, Kevin.
I have a lot written down here, but in light of that, we'll make it brief. Nobody wants to listen to me talk about this, that's for sure.
I would love to.
I attended the State House Day last week. There are a lot of things going on. I do have a press release for Sarah we can put out. One of the main ones was the Senate Bill 1 regarding the reading skills in third graders. The one shining ray of hope was the two representatives that were there did discuss, wanting to make sure training and funding are there before being too harsh. But if anyone has any questions, there's a big book of bills that are being followed. And if you have any specific questions, I am here to help you any way I can.
Could you come in and have some of the girls make a copy of some of those bills, please?
Absolutely. Or we can send the link. There's
That's fine.
an ongoing
That's fine.
You
link.
can also do a Google search and find a lot of those House bills, can't you?
Yeah,
Oh,
but
yeah,
I just,
but-
they're
Are
just
they-
all together there.
As far as the one that the ISBA is following pro work on, there's a link.
And the ISBA does.
They're on
a
their
good job.
website
Yeah.
also.
Is that it? Any other questions? We're on to future agenda requests. If there are none, recognitions and acknowledgements, do we have any? There are none. We are now adjourned. The next regular school board meeting is 7 o'clock Monday, March 11th, 2024.
I'd like to see if Candy Davis is standing there.
Thank you, dear. Stand up.
I'm not a stand-up